to those of you who are feeling called to watch this reading in particular, welcome to your mystery reading. The first thing that we're going to do is shuffle out one card from the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot to give the context or the general energy of your reading. If you want to be a part of the community that I'm trying to create, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you're interested, you can also find me on TikTok. I just do more readings over there. If you're interested, the link that will be in the description. And before I show you your card, remember that this is a general reading on the internet. This is probably going to be a reading for more than one person, so use your judgment and only pay attention to the messages that truly do resonate. Okay, so we have the Two of Pentacles. I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick. I just saw 111. So with the Two of Pentacles here, the universe and someone's spirit guides want to talk about finding complete and total balance in your life, or this could be about finding complete and total balance in a certain situation. Regardless, this is definitely about finding complete and total balance within yourself. I feel someone here is being called to make a decision and to not, make a decision. And we have the Seven of Cups. This is from the Magical Dogs Tarot. I'm going to use these cards to look deeper into this Two of Pentacles. But before we move on to that Seven of Cups, which is really interesting when I talked about some sort of decision, I wanted to talk about, the Two of Pentacles still. So yeah, this decision is calling for you to recognize your worth and what you deserve, and to make a decision based on that instead of expectations. Maybe even instead of meeting your own expectations. I just saw 2, 3, 4. Trust that everything happens for a reason, especially with the Seven of Cups dropping on the table. When I was talking about your choices, the Seven of Cups is all about your judgment, your ability to make choices rooted in self-love and your worth and what you deserve. There could be some illusions standing in your way of making a decision that considers yourself. I definitely feel like you need to consider yourself here more, your mental health, your resources. Like, there's definitely something here, a choice here that you need to make that has to do with choosing yourself. Don't be afraid to be selfish when you need to be. Why people are selfish matters a lot. It's not always a bad thing to be selfish, because it's really, really important to protect yourself from being taken for granted or taken advantage of. The Seven on the Seven of Cups is a reminder that the more that you invest in yourself internally, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, the more that you are investing in some sort of external return, like a reaping what you sow kind of energy. So remember that the bigger the reward, the harder the work it's going to take to get there. Wow. Oh God, these cards just keep falling on the table. We have the Nine of Cups. Let me show this to you up close. So you definitely have some sort of wish here, or a very, very deep desire. But your perspective is really, really standing in the way of receiving this desire, or maybe your expectations around this desire could be too specific or too rigid. Like, instead of I want this person in my life, I make it more general. Like, I want someone who can communicate, who can set boundaries, that kind of thing. I definitely feel called to say pay more attention to what you want rather than who you want. There could be a very difficult decision here around letting go of people or creating distance between people that you really care about. But remember that you are worth more. Like, you deserve to be able to choose yourself and to protect yourself. Definitely need to be recognizing what you deserve right now. And, don't be afraid to say no, especially if you receive some opportunity that you want to say no to, but you feel pressured to say yes. And if you do feel pressured to say yes, pay attention to where that pressure is coming from, so that so that way you can better understand the pressure, so you can better understand how to release it. This pressure could be coming from yourself, someone in the room. You may have to look really deep, but definitely being called to do that. With the Nine of Cups, definitely keep in mind your long-term emotional stability. Don't go for anything that is instantly gratifying. Almost like if you don't have to be patient for it. Like, I'm getting like a too good to be true thing. Like, it sounds too good to be true. Trust that feeling, and even if it isn't too good to be true, you'll find out in a beautiful way. I just saw 654. Trust that everything happens for a reason. Especially if this is a more difficult loss, try to find deeper meaning in the things that you can't control. And I feel like loss is really hard to cope with for you, because you need to have a more balanced appreciation for life. You need to appreciate both the light and the dark. What is there to gain from the light and the dark? I definitely feel the more shadowy side of yourself coming through, but don't worry, we all have a shadow side. Maybe there's some sort of like shadow work book. I have one, and it's a good one. But if you feel called to get a shadow work journal, definitely do that. Or maybe even just research what shadow work is or something. Someone definitely needs to be healing right now. Wow. And I flipped this card, and it's the King of Cups. This really confirms to me that your judgment is distorted, and you really need to prioritize seeing things more clearly. And the best way to do that is to pay attention to what you're thinking about. Pay attention to those difficult, scary feelings that you could experience, and pay attention to the thoughts that you're having, so you can see what thoughts are creating these feelings. This will really help you change your perspective, so that way you can have better feelings. There's really a lot of healing that needs to be done here, and the first place to start is to recognize what you actually deserve. And maybe there's some specific way that you could be being called to recognize your worth and what you deserve. It doesn't have to resonate for everybody though. For your next card, wow, we have the Queen of Wands. I almost wanted to say the Queen of Pentacles. There's so many messages coming through. But the other reading that I recorded today, this card was the King of Wands. So this really tells me that whoever's watching this reading, you need to be focused on finding your power from within, because I really don't think there's any real power in having more materially. I think there's a lot of power in having more mentally and emotionally, because really nobody can ever take that away from you. The only person who can ever take that away from you is you. So it's definitely important to recognize at times when you can be your own worst enemy And definitely be the kindest with yourself in recognizing this. I just saw 1010. So your spirit guides want you to know that they are there. And they want to communicate with you. They want to connect with you. Pay attention to any signs or synchronicities. I also just saw 122 and then 123. Remember that change starts with you. And to trust that everything happens for a reason. The universe wants you to meet halfway through just being yourself and trusting the process. And, remember that loss is an illusion, because what's lost will always be replaced. You just can't be so attached to what's coming and going, like specifics, if that makes sense. But yeah, with almost wanting to say the Queen of Pentacles, you need to be focused on your inner abundance, and focusing on this will help more abundance, material abundance, be attracted to you. It's like searching for material abundance in a physical way may not pay off as much as you think it might. I just felt the energy of the Devil card in tarot, so definitely need to take a look at your shadow self and see how it's being more involved in your decisions than it really should be. You need to allow the light to guide you instead of the darkness. There's a very deep spiritual choice here. And with seeing the Queen of Wands as well, being a witch could be significant for someone, but only take that message if it resonates. I feel like that's something that you already know, so only be called, or only pay attention to the messages you feel called to. To clarify, 7 of Swords, we have the Knight of Swords. And I almost just saw 1222, which is that message to meet the universe halfway through being yourself and trusting the process. With this, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, by the way. So again, trust that everything happens for a reason with this Knight. Here, clarifying the 7 of Cups. This really highlights your more impulsive nature. I mean, all of us can be impulsive. It's like a spectrum, but anyway. I think you really need to think through your decisions more and be more willing to make the sacrifices that you need to make sure that you are making decisions out of self-love rather than self-destruction. There definitely could be some deep fears here that you need to address and make peace with and or heal from. It really does feel like fear has more control over your decisions. And I really think you need to have more courage when it comes to making decisions rooted in self-love. I really feel a very strong and beautiful opportunity here to build a stronger relationship with not only your faith, of course, but also yourself. There's something very beautiful and fulfilling about having a better relationship with yourself. This makes me think of negative self-talk, so be careful with how you speak to yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to like a child or someone that you care about. I definitely feel like you need to be more compassionate toward yourself, for sure. I feel like being hard on yourself really doesn't help when it comes to being more impulsive. So definitely be kinder to yourself at this time, especially if you're trying to heal. Like, you're really working against yourself if you just beat yourself up for not being perfect. I have the Magician next. I just saw 4, 5, 6. Trust that everything happens for a reason. And it's just really interesting how we have the Magician, the magical card, paired with the Knight of Cups, which is usually considered the wish fulfillment card. So with the Magician, I definitely feel like you're being called to step into your power, really recognize your power. And this infinity loop. It's interesting how that always comes through, because I also think like 8s are also a message about the infinity loop. I feel like you need to change your perspective on life and death and what these things really truly mean. Maybe it could be helpful for someone to watch like near-death experience story videos or whatever. I definitely helps reassure my faith in there being something more, because a lot of these stories that you hear, I mean, there are consistencies, so definitely if you feel called to watch near-death experience stories, definitely do that, because I think that you're being guided to change your perspective on change overall, but like also death, that kind of change to that kind of transformation. And when talking about change and transformation, I also feel called to say that being comfortable with change, with loss and renewal, that feels pretty big here too. There's a lot of potential when it comes to the magic in your life and, you know, receiving gifts from the universe and that kind of thing. It's just, you really have to understand how to tap into that potential through healing and being authentic and taking your choices more seriously. For the next card, wow, we have the King of Wands. So this particular card, the King of Wands, could be very, very significant for someone. Maybe you want to look up what that card means, or maybe even the symbolism on the traditional tarot cards. Oh, and I just realized this King of Wands is clarifying the King of Cups. Wow. So I really, really feel like finding this emotional stability is going to really fire you up. If you ever felt like, you know, your flame or your light was burned out or whatever, that definitely feels like there's an opportunity here to relight that bulb or reignite that flame. This energy does feel like it could be sacred in a way. Wow. That's unreal. So I accidentally saw what the next card is, which is the Devil. Before we get into that, let me get a drink of water and I'll finish the King of Wands and Cups here. I really, really do feel like you have a lot of potential for a lot of power, especially when it comes to creative power. I feel like you would have a big impact on people through the way that you express yourself, maybe in like an artistic or creative way, but it doesn't have to be. There's definitely something here about your story that is special, that really needs to be shared. And you're not alone in this whole trying to understand your story so you could share it. There's a lot of people who are trying to do that right now. You know, it's like each individual person, there's a lot of wisdom to unlock just through each person. I feel like you could add to the collective wisdom, the collective awareness, the collective consciousness. You could help raise the vibration and set humanity up to have a lot more, for sure. I just felt like such a strong sense of love come through. I feel like you could really help bring people closer together, whether you know them or not. There's definitely something here about your energy having an impact on people, even if you don't know it or not. I just find it so interesting with the King of Wands clarifying the King of Cups, because this is I'm thinking of a different tarot reader. She said something about how, like, whenever she thinks of like fire and water coming together, she thinks of like something boiling, something bubbling. Definitely feel that witch energy coming through again. But I really feel like you could cook up something special here, for lack of a better way to say it. You have a lot of potential here. And whether you get to see your true potential, that's totally up to you. So remember that life, it's happening for you, not to you. With the Devil here clarifying the Queen of Wands, yeah, that honestly says a lot about your fiery, passionate energy. We all have passion, and this passion is always going to show up, whether in light aspects or dark aspects. We get to choose whether we want to invest in the light or the darkness in this world. So there's definitely something here about holding yourself more accountable when it comes to making mistakes, and not in a way where you're beating yourself up, but taking your growth more seriously. You know, really trying to understand yourself in that moment so you can understand how to be a better version of yourself. But at the same time, be patient with yourself. Allow your growth and your healing to happen naturally. It will come in cycles. So just don't be hard on yourself, and keep on trying to heal. Don't give up on yourself. Just as I said with the other reading that I recorded today, give yourself a fair chance, because you deserve it and you always did. I'm going to wrap up this reading with the Prism of Visions Tarot. Just going to get a few of these to see what other information wants to come through. Oh my god. We have the 8 of Swords. I just saw 222 and then 2222. So I laughed at first because in the other reading, this 8 of Swords here was there twice. One second. Yeah, it just really feels like your fears and your anxiety has so much power over you right now. But that's okay. It's possible to have, your soul, what you truly believe in, have more control over you. You just need to learn how to better work with your fears. You need to maybe even, be more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. You don't have to be confident. Being courageous is about moving forward despite that fear, Especially with both the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands, you're definitely being called to step into your courage here and to not have such rigid expectations in life. Oh my gosh, I just saw 333, then 234, and now I have a ringing in my ear. That's why I said oh my gosh, because it was such a powerful change. 234, remember that everything happens for a reason. Trust that everything happens for a reason. It's possible to discover what that reason is. And with 333, this really highlights growth and expanding as a result of that growth, as the Ace of Wands falls on the floor. So there's definitely, and I love how with Ace of Wands, with the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands, there's definitely a very, very fiery and passionate opportunity here, which is really awesome. I feel like this is a big opportunity here to take your power back and to feel more like you belong, I definitely feel like this is a big opportunity. Wow, to help life make more sense for you. That came out while I was shuffling. That's the King of Wands again. Yeah, I definitely, if you're not familiar with the meaning of the King of Wands tarot card, definitely better understand what that card means for you, and maybe research, I don't know, just this the King of Wands card feels very, very significant here. And it's interesting because this face here next to this, it looks like it's turned towards that opportunity, in my opinion. So if there is a very desirable, or something that really feels like it's calling you that has to do with healing, listen to that calling. That calling is real. There's definitely a lot of wisdom and information that the universe and your spirit guides have to offer you. I just saw 555. And you could really use this wisdom to make a difference in the world and help others avoid facing the same challenges that you did. There's definitely purpose here, and you just have to be willing to discover why you're here and why you went through everything that you did. But that will conclude your reading. I hope that it was helpful or relevant in some way. If you'd like to hit the like button to show me that, that's the best way to support me. And if you'd like to offer even more support, you can donate through the thanks button directly below the video. Absolutely not obligated, but always very much appreciated. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any. I'd really, really love to connect with you more. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you around.